Yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight, and I guess we're all kind of getting used to wrestling as it is right now. It is what it is, and we're all getting used to no fans being around, and it's not helping. Wrestling still really sucks, and it's not making it any better that they're trying to put on these shows, and they're trying to make things interesting, and they're failing on epic levels every single way that they try. You can't keep showing me the same exact show week after week and just moving this guy over here and that guy over there, but essentially giving me the same show week in and week out and expect me to want to come back for more. But that's what the WWE wants you to do with Monday Night Raw, and we are going to talk about all of it and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you're watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Monday Night Raw review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
It has not been a very good week here at Sledgehammer TV. Before we get started on the wrestling review, is a little bit of a personal thing. We don't usually get personal here on the show, but as many of you guys that follow me on social media know, we suffered a tremendous loss here in the family, and my dog died last week, and there's no easier way to put it. And a quick little personal story about my dog, who is unfortunately no longer with us. 16 years ago, my aunt's two dogs decided that they were going to tango, and out popped these 5 little puppies. I believe it was 5 puppies. And when I went to get one of these puppies, which I knew I was going to take home at least one of them, only one stood out. They all were very similar. They all had the same kind of colorations and very similar markings, but there was one dog that had a solid white ring all the way around his neck. It connected perfectly. It was a beautiful circle, and he had a ring around his neck. And I was tremendously into the Lord of the Rings. I always was a fan of the series, and I said to everybody, I said, you see that one with the ring on his neck? I said, that dog is my dog, and his name is Frodo. And we had 16 glorious years, and last Sunday, things just unexpectedly took a very strange turn. And over the course of the next 3 days, it would just get worse and worse, to the point where Wednesday of last week was my last day with my little buddy Frodo. And I had to let him go over the Rainbow Bridge to the little dog park up in the sky, where I know I will be with him again. So if any of you guys were wondering why we kind of had to take the week off last week, it's not just because wrestling sucks and I don't even really want to watch it. It was because we here were going through something absolutely awful. It was the absolute worst day of my life, and I am very surprised that I was able to even get through this open. But you guys know how much I love and appreciate all your support, and I'm always honest with you, and that's why I've kind of been radio silent. I couldn't even find it within me to go online and tell everybody more than what was going on. I tried the best I could to keep you guys informed, but when you're going through, traumatic circumstances, it's hard to keep your head straight. But it definitely feels good to be back in this chair. It didn't feel good to be watching Monday Night Raw again. I took an entire week off, and I missed absolutely nothing, because this show was the exact same show that I kind of had on in the background last week. How they can build towards this Money in the Bank, and they have the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match coming at us in history, and I could care less about it. I really don't see anything happening from one week to the next that says, oh, well, this is going to be worth getting into. Drew McIntyre's first championship feud is going to be with the Monday Night Man Bun, Seth Rollins. I'm supposed to give a shit. Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere, stomps the champ twice, and that's how you get a championship title match. We don't do it with interesting storytelling or anything. We make all that come after. So we're going to have a contract signing tonight. Big deal. What happens at contract signings? Oh, well, this guy's going to say this, that guy's going to say that. There's going to be some kind of a throwdown at the end. We're going to see the Man Bun and Buddy Murphy almost make out. And then we're going to go off the air. That's Monday Night Raw's build to Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. And while there are some interesting parallels in these two characters, how they both faced off with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, I don't really care at all. Something about the Seth Rollins character has just turns my attention completely off from the screen. I'd have no care in any of the words he's saying, whether he's sitting in his big, fancy, stupid chair, or he's standing in the middle of the ring in his ridiculous suit with his stupid one glove on and his man bum pulled tight. I don't care about anything he has to say, and actually Drew McIntyre pointed that out tonight very well. Drew McIntyre said the word shit on Monday Night Raw, and everybody was freaking out about it on Twitter, and I'm like, who cares? Nobody cares about that word anymore. But I don't care. And I don't know why you guys care either. Drew McIntyre already facing off against Seth Rollins just doesn't interest me. It interests me as much as what they're doing with the women's division, which means zero. Which means zero. When you have me on watching Monday Night Raw tonight, and I have to sit here and say to you that there was a triple threat match between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler and Asuka as a warm-up for these three women for Money in the Bank. And although it didn't end in an official match, the match never really got started, we see Nia Jax standing tall over Asuka and over Shayna Baszler, and that should just never happen. Nia Jax shouldn't even be in this match. There are so many other more qualified, more talented females that should be in there over this woman who's returning and has done absolutely nothing but nearly murder Kairi Sane over the course of the last 2 weeks. But that's okay. That's okay. She's going to go out on social media. She's going to blast certain other females for being unsafe. And then she goes out there and just Nia Jax is all over the place. Nia Jax is synonymous with unsafe. She couldn't even get the ladder over her head tonight. Unbelievable. The WWE putting her in a spotlight over the other two females in this scenario, it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. Liv Morgan faces off against Ruby Riott again for the second week in a row. And Liv Morgan wins again. And not only does she win, but she kicked out of Ruby Riott's Riott Kick finishing maneuver. So why not just give Ruby Riott a couple of bags, tell her to pack up her punk rock shit, and get out of Dodge? Because if you're losing like this week after week, why did you even come back? You came back to job out to the least talented member of the Riott Squad? Ruby Riott was the one out of that entire trio that should have been skyrocketed right to the top. She's got top-notch wrestling ability. She actually made Liv look good tonight, as she did make her look good last week. But these matchups just don't click with me. I don't understand what's going on with Liv Morgan. And then she wants to cut a promo after winning for the second week in a row saying, oh, well, I don't know who I am. Didn't we go through this already? Wasn't that what the whole big reveal of her being bisexual with Lana was all about? But now again, she's like, oh, well, I'm trying to find myself, and sometimes people don't know who they are. Didn't we do this already? I don't know. I don't remember. And then you got guys like MVP showing up, giving us the VIP lounge. And I'm going to say this about that. I don't mind MVP in this capacity. If they're going to use, I would rather them use him than use a moment of bliss or use Miz TV, have a legend coming out and doing his thing, interviewing the young guys, putting over the guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And I didn't mind the opening segment that much. I thought it was all right. I thought it was a good way to go about it. What I did mind was when Zelina Vega and her band of hot Latino men decided to come in and crash the party, which is only going to lead us to another scenario of matches that we've already seen. Apollo Crews versus Any one of those three guys we've seen already. Aleister Black versus Andrade, we've seen already. We've seen all of this already, but we are going to do it again, and we are going to do it in a 6-man capacity. And that's just going to be the beginning, as we are going to continue to tell week after week the story of Zelina Vega's stable, who is still, as far as I know, nameless. And we want you guys to think they're a serious threat. We want to build up this stable. We want you to think Angel Garza is a star. We want you to think Austin Theory is a star. We want you to care about Andrade. But every time we show you these guys, they're going to be flat on their backs looking up at the lights. They're no better than the rest of the jobbers that they decided to fill out the card of Monday Night Raw with. Week after week after week, these guys are just losing. After one good win when they first came out, and Austin Theory came out and just wowed everybody, but this guy keeps losing. Who's going to give a shit about him? This is what they do to all the NXT talent that comes up in the first place. They give them one big shining moment, and then they just have them out there putting on decent matches, but then losing and losing and losing over and over and over again. So nobody ever really gets over. And you can have a guy like MVP putting over these young guys. And later on in the night, we would get MVP again. 2 segments for MVP on one night in this night's Monday Night Raw, by the way. Shows you how deep the talent pool is amongst the epidemic that's going on right now. Or pandemic, for those of you that need me to be absolutely correct. But they even botched this too. We have said on this show multiple times that a guy like MVP in a managerial status would be great. He's got the chops on the mic, he could put talent over, and I think he would do great to be paired with a team such as Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, or put him with a guy like an Apollo Cruz, or, I don't know, a big guy like Damian Priest, somebody that would make sense. You know what wouldn't make sense? What wouldn't make sense is for MVP to say he's got an eye for talent and then introduce to the world his new tag team of Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. Thorne and Vink. This is what MVP is looking at. He's got 2 prime studs in the ring, 2 of the best wrestlers the WWE has on their employee in the ring, and he wants to pick 2 jobbers to be his tag team. 2 no-names from NXT that barely got a hiccup in professional wrestling. That's what MVP is going to do. The only way this turns out good is if this is a plan between the 3 of them. And when MVP gets this match for his new tag team against Alexander and Ricochet, that it's actually a ruse. And that MVP set up Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. Vink, I hate that name. Vink. And that it was all just, for Cedric and Ricochet to turn heel and then side up with MVP. And MVP would be like, you think I was going to take you 2 nobody sons of bitches and be here in the VIP lounge? I'm looking for number 1. I'm looking for the best. And then he has these 2 guys on his side. It would be a great way to turn these guys, get them to stop smiling and being so cheesy and baby face. But no, I mean, as it looks right now, the WWE is doing the opposite. So unless they take that turn, which I call for you right now, then there's no saving this. I already hate what they're doing with MVP. If in fact what I just said does not happen, if that happens, then fine. If it doesn't, then man, did they take a huge misfire here? Out of all the teams that are still under the employ of the WWE, those are the 2 guys he picks. And then think about this. Think about all the people the WWE just released. Think about all the talent they just put out on the market. And we got MVP on Monday Night Raw managing Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. Just let that sink in for just a minute. There's so many more things we can go on about, but I don't want to be here all night. I don't want to waste any more time talking about this trash. I don't want to waste any more of your time. WWE don't care about our time. That's why they give us 3 hours of this shit that we have to talk about, including a nearly 30-minute long 6-man tag team matchup, which was actually pretty decent. The action in the match was fine. But once again, you have Apollo Crews, Rey Mysterio, and Aleister Black defeating Zelina Vega's hot men. So who cares about Zelina Vega's stable if they can't get a win? They did do an interesting thing and started telling a story with Apollo Crews' leg. And that all began here in this matchup. But essentially, this was just your random, run-of-the-mill WWE booking of a 6-man tag because they just don't know what else to do. We also had on this night a countdown of Triple H's top 10 moments. I don't think they were very accurate, at least in the way that they were structured, but we're not going to go over them. It's not even worth it. They were actually the most entertaining part of tonight's show, but being that that was from 20 years ago in the most cases, some 10 years ago, some 5 years ago, some just in the case of last year featuring the NXT invasion of SmackDown, you're just showing me all the things that were great about wrestling that are now missing. And it's not because Triple H isn't there. It's because they don't make moments like that anymore. They try, but they always shit the bed. Every single time. After this, what the hell was the next match? I don't care about anything else that went on in between. The next matchup was the triple threat, which didn't happen. Asuka versus Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler. I can't stress enough how Miss Nia Snax should not be being put on top or put over anybody in the women's division right now, especially talent the likes of Baszler and Asuka. 2 multiple-time women's champions just being tossed around like nothing here, all to promote Nia Jax, who shouldn't even be in the ladder match in the first place. No, but you got Ruby Riott losing to Liv Morgan 2 weeks in a row instead of being in the ladder match that's the match that she was pretty much built for. She's the kind of talent you want in that match. Not Nia Jax. She's reckless as it is. She's reckless without ladders and weapons. What's going to happen when she's in there and she unchains with all this other hardware in the ring? She broke Becky Lynch's face. We all remember that. What do you think she's going to do here? I hope she proves me wrong. I hope nobody gets hurt. But when that woman's in the ring, odds are somebody's going to get hurt. And that's not me being a dick to Nia Jax. That's me stating facts. Nia Jax, when she made her debut in the WWE, I was a huge fan. I thought she was going to be great. I love the big girls. When they can wrestle. When they know how to sell. When they can tell a story in a match. Not when they're breaking faces for real. And botching all night long. And being put in the position that they're in based on who they are. And not because of what they brought to the dance. It's 2 different animals. You look at an Awesome Kong. That's what Nia Jax could be. But she's nowhere near that. That's what I thought the WWE had in Nia Jax. Instead, we got an Awesome Kong-sized pile of garbage. Pounds of garbage. Is maybe what I meant to say. We had a segment with the almighty milk dud, Bobby Lashley, in the back with his main squeeze, Lana, who looked like, I don't know, maybe it was just the lighting, maybe it was the dress, but to me, I feel like Lana lost her titties. But I don't know, you guys tell me if maybe I'm just losing my mind. I don't follow her anywhere else. I don't want to see her, so I don't really look. I don't know what's going on in her personal life, and that's by design. But if, I noticed the things that I noticed, and maybe it was just a weird angle and bad lighting, but my TV's pretty good, and I'm pretty sure my HD wasn't picking up her double Ds. So maybe she had them reduced. I don't know. But is this the E! Entertainment Network where we worry about such gossipy things? No, it's just something I wanted to bring to your attention. It's something I noticed. That's what we do. We talk about the things that I noticed. And that's something that I noticed. I also noticed that Bobby Lashley was going up against the Jobber again. Once again, a former multiple-time world champion, a guy that's obviously high on Vince McMahon's list. He can't seem to go a few months without having Bobby Lashley wrestling on TV. You would think he would come up with some decent programming for this guy, but instead he's walking around with Rusev's wife still and beating up Denzel DeJournette. Now, these guys on Monday Night Raw, these jobbers that we have been seeing now on a consistent basis, are getting more TV time than guys like EC3 were getting when he was still part of the WWE. I don't understand it. They can do things like they're doing this out of necessity. Yes, because the roster is scattered and there's only so many people that they can have in a certain area, I guess. But if you can have Denzel DeJournette there, couldn't you have had somebody else there instead? Somebody else maybe that you can build something towards? I feel like by the time Monday Night Raw gets back to normal, these undercard guys, these jobber guys are going to be more over than the actual talent. People are going to be like, hey, there's that guy that kept getting his ass kicked. Let's cheer for him because he's kind of cool. More often than not, that kind of happens, you know. We had a commercial for this new Battlegrounds game, which, oh my God, it's awful. And all of the comments that I can make about it will make me sound like an ignorant, nobody will forgive me if I tear this game down the way I really want to. If let's try to dumb it down a little bit. If I wanted a wrestling game full of little people, or if I wanted to wonder what all of the WWE superstars looked like if they were Oompa Loompas, and then have them wrestle in the ring, throwing each other at alligators and fighting each other with flaming fists, if this is a game that you would enjoy, then by all means, go ahead. But the ultra stylization of this thing makes these guys look more deformed, these men and ladies look more deformed than they do in 2K20. And that's bad. That's bad. If this is what they had planned as a follow-up for their disaster last year, then the WWE companies that are in the video game loop are just as lost and just as out of touch and just as useless as the WWE creative staff, who gives us matches like Liv Morgan defeating Ruby Riott for the second week in a row, and this time in less than 3 minutes, and she kicked out of her finishing move, making Ruby Riott absolutely useless. And Liv Morgan still needs to figure out who she is. She's confident she'll figure it out, and Byron Saxton's happy for her. Gives a shit. Charlie Caruso talked to Nia Snax backstage, and she tells Nia people are questioning her actions. Then Nia Jax starts screaming at Charlie Caruso unnecessarily. I don't know why everybody's always getting so mad at poor Charlie. She asked a simple question. At least she wasn't calling her Chuck like the Monday Night Man Bun. Nia Jax asks what can she do to stop Nia Jax? No, or what can she do about Nia Jax's actions? Nothing. What can Asuka do about my actions? Nothing. What can Baszler do about my actions? Nothing. And she starts screaming again. Nothing. What can the WWE do to make me want to watch this woman on television? Nothing. Nothing. They follow this with the Viking Raiders cutting a promo on the Street Profits. And immediately I said to myself, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. They got these guys standing here trying to be all serious and all intimidating and all intense, saying that they want the smoke. They're the team that wants the smoke. But it was a week ago that they were riding around like a couple of jackasses in a clown car, full headgear and everything, with a big stupid turkey leg, doing carpool karaoke with no music. Absolutely unbelievable. How am I supposed to take them as an intimidating team now? I mean, from one week to the next, are they a joke team or are they a serious team? What are we really supposed to think about the Viking Raider, Warrior Raider Raiders? I still don't know. And some people might think this worked. But to me, you have to stay consistent. Now that you made them look like a couple of clowns, you gave the Street Profits plenty of material to attack you with, and now you want people to take you seriously this week. I don't understand that kind of concept. Doesn't work well with me. You know what else doesn't work well with me? The return of the modern day Maharaj sucks, Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal. That's who you brought back. All the people that you could have called to bring back. Jinder Mahal is back. Once again, 60 plus names released from the WWE, many of which, almost 80% of which, rather, I should say, were contracted talent, in-ring talent, but Jinder Mahal was not one of those released. And here he is, back again, returning to defeat Akira Tozawa in less than 2 minutes. The best thing I can say about the return of Jinder Mahal is at least he doesn't have the Jerry curls anymore. He gave up on the Soul Glow, but unfortunately he didn't give up on the wrestling. So now he's back. They want to keep hyping him up. Oh, the former world champion. The former world champion. How long till we see Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal? Oh, former 3MB. Like, we're supposed to give a shit about that? You just cut Heath Slater loose. What are we supposed to give a shit about 3MB? You don't even give a shit about 3MB. You didn't give a shit about him when you had him. Who cares? Who cares? Jinder Mahal. Great reason for me to tune into Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis. Give me more reasons not to watch. Give me more reasons not to watch. Apollo Crews ended up challenging Andrade before the night was over. There was this weird segment where Apollo Crews was in the back and was like all hyper and all giddy and like, yeah, I'll beat Andrade right now. I don't care that he's standing right over there. I'll beat his ass. And Andrade heard him. He's like, oh yeah, you're going to beat me? Well, let's do it. So now we have this impromptu match. This match was actually very good. It showed the star quality that Apollo Crews possesses as far as an in-ring talent. Andrade always puts out a solid effort no matter who he's in there with. And this match ended via referee stoppage because of the continued damage that was taken to Apollo Crews on his legs. Subsequently, right before we hit record, I seen on Twitter that the WWE has announced that Apollo Crews will no longer be in the Money in the Bank ladder match he earned his way into due to this subsequent injury that occurred tonight by wrestling twice on Monday Night Raw. The legitimacy of the injury is 100% false, I'm sure of it. But it begs for you to try to reason, why would they put him in the Money in the Bank match last week only to take him out this week? This is a company that we've seen week after week be under the thumb of Vince McMahon, who changes his mind on a whim. And you're doing all this groundwork, building up Apollo Crews. Many people were predicting he actually might be the favorite this year for the Money in the Bank. And now he's not even in it, because you are writing this secondary story. And now this guy went from being on top of the world, getting the pin in that tag team matchup, being on this little bit of an upswing, having the match of his life on Monday Night Raw, probably his best match he's ever had, and then ends up leaving crying because his knee is shot and he's now not going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Where is that story going? Is he just going right back to catering? Well, we did this with Apollo. We needed him. Now we don't need him anymore. We're going to bring back Jinder Mahal, though. I don't understand the logic in the storyline here. Obviously, there's more of this story to tell, but now they have to replace Apollo Crews in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And who's it going to be? I don't know. I really don't. Could it be Jinder? Are they just going to give it to him because he came out and defeated Tozawa? Is there going to be a qualifying match next Monday, last minute, right before on the go-home show to fill that last spot? Are they just going to announce it all willy-nilly on the internet like they love to do? Willy-nilly? How freaking old am I? Jesus Christ. Anyway, this was a good match, and the finish was fine. He just had all night long had been selling the story of that knee, and Andrade ends up with the championship still. Taking it off of him right now would have been the death knell for Zelina Vega and her new little squad. If Andrade lost tonight, they really should just all walk out. Like, there's nowhere even to go forward from there. So you still have Apollo Crews being able to come back and maybe challenge again because he was never truly beaten. But we'll have to wait and see. The Street Profits then cut a response promo to the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders where they didn't get all ridiculous and stupid. And they took it serious. And they accepted the challenge. We're going to have a tag team championship match next week. Street Profits versus the Viking Raider Warrior Raiders. Great. I thought this was fine. This was effective. Had they not filmed that stupid in-car promo on the Viking Raiders last week, this whole exchange between these two was fine. Was fine. But because they did that, it's just like, these guys are 1 week joking around and then the next... And are they trying to be like the Street Profits? I don't understand. I enjoy some of the Street Profits comedy stuff, but it's much more intriguing and much more compelling when they're coming at you in a serious way. And they didn't mess around. They made a couple of jokes. They made reference to the carpool karaoke scenario. And it was fine. It was absolutely fine. What wasn't fine was that they wanted to spend a good 5 minutes showing everybody the end of the Becky Lynch WWE 24 documentary. Since Becky Lynch doesn't want to be on Monday Night Raw, there's nobody for her to fight on Monday Night Raw. They keep showing her in this way, highlight packages, promo segments, and whatnot. And they wanted to show her win over Ronda Rousey and Charlotte at last year's WrestleMania, to which I attended, and I was in the crowd, and it was one of the coolest moments of the night. It was after midnight by the time we got there. I was freezing my balls off, but it was fun, and we were still all very high on Becky Lynch at that point, and to be there in that moment was really great. To be reliving it again here tonight after we've seen it maybe 15 times over the last 2 weeks, not so much. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander defeated the team of Everrise. Who? Everrise. This is a team of two jobbers, Chase Parker and Matt Martell. Okay, these two clowns came out actually dressed alike. They have a tag team name, but they're nobody. Everrise. And then you got Cedric, and you got Ricochet. Been together for weeks. Coming out dressed similar. I'll give them that. They got the tag team outfit game down. But no unified theme music. No team name. Zelina Vega and the trio. No team name. Every time they put two guys together, they get no team names. But these two jobbers that mean nothing and we've never seen before and might never see again. Everrise. Outfits, name, whole thing. How hard is it? I don't understand it. I also don't understand why we are seeing Ricochet versus Cedric defeating a bunch of jobbers. Now, Everrise were probably about just as equal on the totem pole as Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. So this should be pretty easy for Ricochet and Cedric coming up. Because as we already talked about, MVP showed up after this, congratulated Ricochet and Cedric on their win. He said he had an eye for talent, and I thought for sure he was going to offer his services to the boys. But instead he introduced his team of weenie guys, and they're going to have a rematch next week. Because apparently MVP thinks that their win versus these two clowns last week was a fluke. Because his eye for talent is being covered by shaded glasses. You got to take those glasses off and clean his eyes out. Take a better look at what he got right in front of him. We then get this really sad and pathetic shot of Apollo Crews limping out of the WWE Performance Center, his knee all wrapped up in ice. Charlie Caruso tried to get a word in with him, but he just didn't have the strength and just couldn't say anything and just went out on crutches crying. taped up in ice. I don't understand it. And then, of course, we had the Drew McIntyre Seth Rollins contract signing being presided by over Big Jerry the King Lawler. So I guess he was done eating his ramen noodles in the back and decided, hey, you know what? Since they kicked me off of commentary for Samoa Joe, since he's so much more of what the show needs than me right now, I'll be presiding over the contract signing, and I will do it proudly. And you know what? They shouldn't even say it like that, because all he really did was introduce the two guys. So he was like special guest ring announcer for the contract signing, and then Jerry the King Lawler went away. And we had an interesting exchange between Rollins and Drew, and everything that we talked about at the open of the show. Seth Rollins just kept regurgitating the same crap he spews week in and week out. Oh, the WWE Universe needs a leader. I'm going to be that leader, the Messiah. Yada, yada, yada. Same old shit. Been there, done that. Drew McIntyre calls him out on that, says fans don't want to hear Seth Rollins talk. He was 100% correct. Called him out on his bullshit. He said the word. He said shit on TV. Woo, edgy promo writing 101. Say the S word. Ridiculous. You're completely full of shit, he says. This back and forth went on for some time. And, I mean, it was mildly entertaining. But I don't care to see Seth Rollins back in the main event, back in the hunt for the World Heavyweight Championship after losing to Kevin Owens at WrestleMania and doing nothing to really earn this for himself other than just attack the champ. And that's where we're at. I guess if I showed up at the WWE and I attacked the champ and hit him twice in the back of the head with a baseball bat, I'll get a championship match next week on Monday Night Raw 2. Or I'll get a championship at Money in the Bank because I attacked the champ. And the champ wants vengeance, and he's going to be a fighting champion, and he's going to take the fight right to Seth Rollins. And he's going to shut him up for the fans. Great. Then Buddy Murphy comes out after Seth and Drew decide they're going to go at it. Drew McIntyre easily has the advantage. He gets Seth Rollins into the corner. They're throwing furniture all over the place, and then Buddy Murphy comes out to make the save. He saves his Messiah, and then they're standing at each other staring after Drew McIntyre was laid out. They're just staring at each other eye to eye, like, do you love me now, or something. I don't know. And then I thought they were going to make out, but instead they just hugged, thankfully. And Monday Night Raw went off the air with the Messiah standing tall as we head towards Money in the Bank, but it would not go without one final shot by Drew McIntyre as he took out the disciple, Buddy Murph, with a tremendous Claymore kick that sent him right to next week by the time he wakes up. And that's your Monday Night Raw review tonight, man. I gave you guys everything I got. I'm trying to get my groove back. Tonight was rough for me to even get through watching because just, I keep saying I don't care because I don't. I didn't care before everything that happened to me last week, so it's not just because I'm in a negative space personally. WWE puts me in a negative space every Monday and every Friday and every single time that red or blue brand shows face on TV. It's one of the worst nights you can go through as far as your choices in entertainment. And it's no wonder why the ratings continue to drop week after week when you're just showing the same show in different order and in different matchups over and over and over again. And I understand that they find themselves in this unfortunate situation that kind of puts themselves into a corner and only having to use what they have available to them. But then they book a show where they put themselves in corners multiple times just by the way they decide to book things. Like having Apollo Crews pushed to the moon and then pushed to the injury list on the same show. Booking a match like that triple threat with Jackson and the other two. There's no way you can have that match go down and have a winner and a loser. So why bother even booking it? You don't want Asuka to look weak. You don't want Shayna Baszler to look weak. And apparently, for some reason, you're really high on Nia Jax. You don't want her to look weak. So why have this match? Why not have 3 separate matchups? There's still one more week. It's just a lack of creativity. Just trying to find the easy way out. That's what the WWE does. And it's just awful. And that was it for this edition of Monday Night Raw. Next week's the go-home show for the corporate Money in the Bank ladder match, which is going to be a brawl through the entire WWE offices in Stamford, Connecticut. Going to be filmed most likely in a cinematic style. Going to be the only reason why I'm interested in seeing this show, just to see how they pull this off, and the fight at the top of the building with the climbing the ladder all the way up in the air like that. It's something that I have to see how it goes down. It's either going to be one of the coolest things we ever seen, or it's going to go right up there side by side with the night that Hulk Hogan and the Big Show had the monster truck fight on top of the friggin' Coliseum or whatever it was that time, and then the Hulk Hogan pushed the Big Show off the top of the arena, and the man's still walking around to this very day. It's either going to be really, really cheesy, or it's going to be something pretty special, and it's probably only going to happen this one time until we go back to the regular Money in the Bank format. So it's interesting, and that's why we'll be watching. But everything else that's happening beneath it, I really could care less. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to, if there is anything you're looking forward to. What do you think's going to happen at the Money in the Bank ladder match? And we'll talk more about that as the week rolls on, as we will be here for SmackDown this Friday. Not too sure about Wednesday. We may not be here. I know cool things are going down on AEW. Matt Hardy's blowing it up over there. Chris Jericho continues to kill it in his Twilight run, and it's just not entertaining to me in this format. It's very hard for me to get into, and as I said at the top of the show, I know we're getting used to it, but it doesn't really make it better, and it just doesn't interest me all that much. Just doesn't feel like pro wrestling without the most important ingredient, and that's us. And I know that for a fact, because you guys are the most important ingredient to this show, which is why I keep myself coming back to this desk to do this show for all of you hardcores that are still here with me at 42 minutes and beyond. Thank you all for your continued love and support. Thank you to everybody who reached out to me that knew of my tragedy and offered your condolences. They were well received, and my family and I thank you for all of your love and support on that issue, as well as all of your love and support here of this channel, and continue to do so by smashing that like button. If I made you laugh, if it made you cry, if it made you understand why Monday Night Raw continues to be the worst show on Monday nights every single week, hit that thumbs up right now. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they hate Monday Night Raw as much as we do, so that they have another place to come and vent their frustrations, as we all do here at this channel. And then, of course, if you're not already a Sledgehead and you're not already a member of the newest, coolest faction of wrestling fans in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, then all you need to do right now is hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a thing as we continue to bring the hammer down on the WWE and all of professional wrestling like nobody else. You could also follow me on social media, which is at Nick Nightmare on the Twitter and at Nick_Nightmare on the Instagram, where you can follow me on a more personal nature. You would have known a little bit more about what was going on. Would have kept you in the know if you were following me there, trying to get those numbers up as well. So I hope to see you all everywhere on social media as we continue to social distance ourselves, and only some of the essential workers like myself, and I'm sure many of you, go out there and keep this country running on empty at this point, but running nonetheless. And thank you guys to all of you guys that are doing your thing as I continue to feed everybody in this ungrateful neighborhood over here, and I continue to do my thing. Stay safe, stay home if you can, and I hope to see you here again. That, my friends, is going to do it. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always. each and every one of you. That's going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.